Okay, good morning everybody. This is Lorraine McGill, the Channel Development Manager for SME. Welcome to the Sage SPD Business Partner webinar, the last one of a series of 3. It's great to have you all with us this morning. The agenda for today's webinar is a short introduction and an update on channel conflict from myself. Then I'll be handing over to Jonathan Dowden, who's the Product Manager for the SPD People Products. And then after that, I'll be handing over to the Sage 50 Accounts 2014 VAT Edition piece, which will be run by Gareth Underwood. If you've got any questions, we will allow questions at the end of each piece. So we will be muting the lines once we get started to stop any kind of background noise. I do apologise, when new people are joining the webinar, you can hear the basically the voice from the lady on the phone. We can't stop that, so I do apologise, but we'll just make a start. Has anyone got any questions before we start? No? Okay then, well, we're going to place you on mute just for a short time, and then after my piece I will unmute the lines, and then you can ask any questions before I hand over to Jonathan. Lines muted. Okay, so I've got 2 things to talk to you about today. So there is an update on the subscription pricing piece and also an update on the channel conflict. So from a point of view of subscription pricing, we held a session at the Platinum B Pack in April where there was a few models suggested by various different partners in the room, and we discussed those at length in the room. What we decided to do, because obviously everyone's business is different and you have different requirements from whatever reward model we put in place. So there's been various one-to-one sessions held with a selection of partners who put themselves forward because they wanted to be involved. So those sessions of quite a few of them have already taken place, and there's a few more to go. Once those sessions are completed, there's potential for us to go out for further feedback for anyone else who hasn't been involved but wants to be. And once all of the information is pulled together, the recommendations will be put forward for sign-off. The aim is then to communicate to the partner channel in July. So that's the timescales for that. We haven't really got the capacity to have any further one-to-one discussions on this, but if any of you have any feedback or ideas that you want to send by email, you can either send it to myself, lorraine.mcgill@sage.com, or helen.pearson@sage.com, and we'll make sure that that feedback's included in whatever proposals are being looked at. The next thing that I wanted to update you on is that we shared with you at the February event that Find a Reseller is very much in the front of our plans. So that project is moving forward, the process is underway. The project documentation has been completed and it's with our IS team at the minute. So we're just waiting timescales of kind of what's the next steps for that. But we are chasing it regularly, so like twice weekly. So next time we'll get together, we'll give you a further update on that as well. But confident that that will be happening in the not too distant future. The next thing that I wanted to give you an update is on the channel conflict piece. Again, we talked to you about this in the February events for those of you that were with us. Now, for those of you that weren't, I'll just give you a little bit of background as to kind of how this is not come about, because you all know about the channel conflict piece. But basically, back in December, there was a steering committee set up from the different divisions, so taking into account MMD, so ourselves, the SBD area, which obviously looks at retail and distribution, and also accounts division, which looks after the accountant partners and also the accountant resellers as well. So one of the first things that everyone wanted to happen was to stabilise the channels. And one thing that was agreed with all of the different divisions is that we would not agree to any discounted stock. So since October, there's been no further stock deals put into any of the channels. And as a result of this, what we've seen, and hopefully you've seen too, is that the AUPs have risen. So that's one of the first things to happen. What's been happening in the last few months is there's been a review period. So what we were looking at from that is basically the purpose of each channel. So what we all do today. So from a point of view of business partners, what do we do and what value do we bring, and the same across retail and distribution and also the accounts division as well. So that period is being complete. The next phase is, which is the phase that we're already underway on, is why the customers would buy from the various channels and what the product mix could look like. So as an example, and this isn't set in stone or anything, this is just to give you an example of what we would consider. Potentially, do we say that distribution would only be able to sell instant? So that's this is kind of what we're looking at now. The next steps with that is the divisions will be grouped with their information, and from that, the output of that will be a cross-divisional strategy. So the timescales of that is that we hope to be able to communicate this to the channels during the period of between September and October. So we'll be able to give you a full update of what that looks like. I'm going to hand over to Jonathan. Okay, thank you.
Participant lines muted.
Right, good morning everyone. Thanks very much. My name's Jonathan Dowden. I'm the product manager responsible for people products within the small business division here at Sage. A couple of things I'd like to discuss with you this morning. First, I'll give you a progress on RTI, then move into workplace pension reform, which is looming large on the horizon and a great opportunity for payroll. And then also to give you a headline look at what we're planning for Sage Payroll and people products, and also to get your feedback as to your ideas, what your customers are telling you, so that obviously we can sort of craft a future strategy together for the products. So RTI progress on the HMRC pilot, we sort of learned a tremendous amount, incurring just over 500,000 businesses paying employees using Sage software. On the pilot, which equates to also just over 7.6 million employees, 1 in 4 of the UK workforce. On the pilot, we had 31,000 schemes, which was more than the combined total of other providers, so that was good. And throughout the pilot, 99.7% submission success rate, which was also very reassuring that things are going absolutely right. The feedback we've had since from customers was that 96% found RTI submissions either easy or very easy. 95% of them felt Sage and partners helped them get prepared for RTI, and quite reassuringly, 9 out of 10 at the time of the survey were aware of their RTI requirements. Hopefully that's 10 out of 10 now, because obviously we're well and truly underway with RTI. As of last week, 1.7 million successful submissions under RTI, equating to about 430,000 schemes, 5.5 million employees, and currently at the time was 94% success rate. Just waiting for the statistics to be updated post 19th of May, because obviously those figures will go higher than that. But all in all, we're pleased with the way it's gone. Customers seem to be very pleased with the way it's gone. The 94% success rate, if any of you are wondering why it's dropped from 99.7, what's bringing that average down is included in that is the national insurance verification requests, and customers and users getting to grips with when they can use it and when they can't. Obviously, you sending one of those requests at the wrong time will generate a sort of a failure, which brings the percentage down. So that's RTI. Workplace pension reform. For those of you who might not be so familiar with it at the moment, you'll have seen a lot of the advertising on TV. Obviously, we're all getting well, I was going to say we're all getting older, of course we are, but we're obviously living longer, and hopefully we're all going to sustain a longer retirement. The state isn't going to be able to cope with that, so workplace pension reform is legislation designed to try and redress some of those issues. Workplace pension reform created the pensions regulator. It brought in, it set up NEST, National Employers Savings Trust, as a pension scheme to accept all employers regardless of size, and also brought in automatic enrolment legislation, whereby any worker who is deemed eligible according to a particular success criteria must be enrolled into a workplace pension. Now, this creates a huge amount of complexity. The legislation isn't straightforward. It also creates potentially a significant administrative burden for employers, and also a financial burden if you consider that 70% of employers in the UK don't offer a pension scheme. So there's a significant amount of employers who are going to have to start and therefore find the money for employer contributions. But the most efficient way of employers meeting these obligations and actually drastically reducing the administrative burden is through payroll. The data's there. There's less risk in moving data around out into middleware, which is something that pension providers are currently offering and could cause significant problems for employers. And also, they've got people who are already trained on payroll software who will pick up the functionality for auto enrolment very quickly and smoothly. And using payroll to comply with auto enrolment will be a much better solution for most businesses. So just some key aspects for you. If you look at the big green box, that's what has to be done on an ongoing basis. So a constant assessment of the workforce, enrolling any eligible job holders. They're the worker who has to be enrolled. You've also got non-eligible. They don't have to be enrolled, but they can request to join the qualifying pension scheme, and on that basis the employer has to also contribute. And also entitled workers. They can request to join a pension scheme. It doesn't have to be the qualifying scheme, and the employer is under no obligation to contribute also. Postponement you'll hear quite a bit about. Firstly, work postponement. We're seeing a tremendous number of employers using that to postpone their staging date, so when they have to start complying with the legislation for 3 months, in order to give them the most amount of time to prepare and get their systems in place. If they are applying postponement, an employee could still come to them and say, I want to be assessed and enrolled into a pension scheme, but by and large we're not seeing that happening. Eligible postponement is another useful aspect, which is where
Leaving the conference.
If, for instance, you are you take on a new employee, they're in a probationary period, you might want to postpone them because you don't want to enroll them into a pension if there's a risk that they might leave the business. Also, people who are getting bonuses or other sort of pay spikes, working overtime, who on a normal period of time wouldn't be an eligible job holder, but because of that spike, they are. Postponing them allows people to ease out and even out those peaks. Pay reference period, believe it or not, and this is one of the areas of complexity currently, do not necessarily align with national insurance periods. There's consultation currently out with DWP, whereby the recommendations are that is going to be changed to align it with tax and NI periods. It's something we very much support, and as do the wider payroll industry. So we're waiting to hear back what happens there. If the proposals are taken on, DWP are hoping to get them to Parliament before the summer recess, and that they will come into force in the summer of this year, 2013. So moving on, we're seeing some significant staging peaks into auto enrolment in May, June 2014, June and October. May, June, just over 13,500 customers. June to October in 2015, close on 95,000 customers. That's in line with the peaks that we see that have been released by the pensions regulator. So obviously all our planning, our thinking are around those staging profiles. We are looking to provide customers with a complete solution for auto enrolment. So that will be made up of the services that will be available as they were for RTI, in product, and also partnerships with all the major pension funds. Our product will not be tied to one particular pension provider. It'll be, if like, scheme agnostic. So users and employers will be free to choose whatever pension scheme they want, and we will make sure that our product can transfer data to those schemes. The experience that customers might get with those data transfers largely depends on what the pension providers will support. There's only really one provider who actually supports XML, for instance. So we're sort of driving that with them and trying to encourage other providers to take on and support XML. But if it's not XML, it will be CSV. Customers will be able to send data in the right format to the providers and bring data back in. But the more we can get pension providers taking on XML will create a much better experience, and one sort of very similar to the one that customers experience when transmitting data to HMRC under RTI. With regard to the product, we've got a set of reports which we've recently released last week and the week before, which gives users the ability to assess and categorize their workforce. We will also be doing an update to the product in July, which will bring in elements such as qualifying earnings. Once that update's done, that will give all Sage 50 users the ability to comply and process their responsibilities under auto enrolment. We will be providing further product enhancements in the next feature release in November, and we also plan to release a pensions module which will give users the ability to fully automate the auto enrolment responsibilities and functionality within the product. It will cover all the assessment, postponement, the enrolment, and also allow them to generate the communications, reducing absolutely huge amounts of administrative burden that auto enrolment creates. So, as I say, just going into some of the detail of what's available. In November, you'll see in the feature release, we'll also start doing postponement. Postponement's not something that's required under legislation. It's another sort of additional feature that is useful for employers tackling auto enrolment. So that will be in the November release. But the module will give the employers ability to do everything, and doing it very much in an automated way to save the additional resource. So, just moving on from auto enrolment into the key themes that we see for future product development. These key themes: core payroll product. We do want to move to a single supported version over time. That core payroll product will be available on subscription, and that it will become very much more responsive to user needs, the actual needs of businesses, rather than just the number of employees they have. We want to do that by introducing the sort of mass customization. So you have your core product, and then there will be various modules or apps that sit around that can be added to the product depending on your need as an employer. So it might be that you have you have two employers, both employing 10 people, but one employer has a significant proportion of the workforce who are mobile, and the other one are all office-based. So their needs are going to be very different. So being able to introduce mobility, so apps that might deliver electronic pay slips or allow absences, timesheets and other documents to be recorded electronically from a smartphone or from a laptop. And also introducing marketplace, allowing developers to be able to develop applications and sell them on in a marketplace environment to attach to the core payroll product. It's also about, for us, spreading the administrative burden of payroll. It's amazing that you still see businesses with significant numbers of employees where you have 2 or 3 payroll clerks who do nothing else but enter paper timesheets. That can't be sustainable in its current environment. So we're looking to how to help that. How to help, again, as I say, with pay slips. Obviously, you can email pay slips currently, but having a central depository for pay slips and other communications, which would also help the administrative burden of auto enrolment. And also very much looking to improve the user experience. So refreshing the user interface, doing a lot of the stuff under the hood, if you like, the internal wiring of the product to facilitate all of those other themes, and also putting in place a pragmatic program of fixing known issues within the product. We know they're there, and we do really want to get to grips with them and fix them in over probably a 12-month period. So really, what I'd like to do is kind of unmute the lines and take any questions, but most importantly for me, what are your, what is it that you would like to see in the product moving forward? Would be really, really useful.
Participant lines are muted.
But I appreciate if you don't want to share today. The next slide, I'll have my contact details. I'll be really, really keen to pick up with any of you individually, either on the phone or via email. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time this morning and sitting there listening to me on the end of the phone. Not the greatest of experiences. Listening to me is never a great experience, but over the phone is probably particularly bad. Those are my contact details, guys. Please do get in touch if there's anything you'd like to share, any questions or queries you have. And also, so moving forward to auto-enrollment, if there's anything we can do to help you with your customers and taking them through the sort of functionality that's going to be introduced into the product, I'm more than happy to help with that also. I'm going to hand you over to Gareth, who's going to take you through the VAT edition. Thanks very much. Hope you have a good morning.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gareth Underwood. I'm the Associate Product Manager for our accounts products. And what I want to talk to you about this morning is Sage 50 Accounts 2014, the VAT edition. What we're doing with this release is we're actually going to go back to basics. So one of the reasons that people buy accountancy software is because of the VAT element of their business. Now, VAT does affect everybody in some way, shape or form. And it's not just for VAT registered businesses. It's also about consumers. So everyone that you speak to does have some involvement in VAT. But for VAT registered businesses, it is something that they have to manage. And one example of this is we recently spoke to an online fashion business, and what the lady was telling us was actually it's an activity that she spends 3 days a quarter actually calculating their VAT in Excel. So that's 12 working days every year. And the way the lady put it was, it's actually an activity that doesn't add any profit to her business. So she would rather spend that time doing other profit-making activities. And also this lady was pregnant, so what she was doing, she was trying to think further ahead and try and reducing this three-day burden every quarter for someone who is going to be taking over her business while she's away. And that's one of the reasons why she was coming to Sage 50 Accounts. So the primary sales message for this release is VAT, and part of that is to understand what VAT is, how to process that, calculate the VAT returns for their specific VAT schemes, verify that the VAT return is correct and that it is ready to send to HMRC, submit it online securely to HMRC, and also receive the receipt just to show that the return has been submitted successfully. As well as the VAT improvements in this release, we've also made some improvements to stock, which will help retailers, manufacturers and other trade businesses. Improvements to charity due to the new legislation that was introduced in April this year. And also we've made the foreign trade module available in lower variants of Sage 50 Accounts at an additional price. So getting back to VAT, there's a lot of evidence that businesses are interested in talking about VAT. One of the elements that customers, accountants and business partners have been asking for many years is the capabilities to trade abroad on the VAT cash accounting scheme. So the improvements we've made in 2014 allows the foreign trading capabilities in accounts to be used on the VAT cash accounting scheme. So what this will do is open up many conversations for new businesses that we've not been able to help before. So it just helps widen our target market. Currently, only 8% of our customers currently submit their VAT online through our software. So what we can do is add value to that business by reducing the amount of time they spend manually submitting via the HMRC website. Now, our software can submit a VAT return in 3 clicks compared to the 10 steps it does take on the HMRC site. Now, I know some people say, well, the HMRC site is simple. However, it's even easier with Sage because the whole end-to-end process is in one place. So you're already processing, calculating and verifying in Sage. So it's easier just to click submit within the account software. So the full end-to-end process is stored within one place. Now, there are advantages of doing the submission through Sage software, which is reducing the risk of mistyping the information that you take from Sage 50 accounts and mistyping it into the HMRC site incorrectly. There's also less chance of forgetting to submit. Now, I've spoke to several customers where in the past they have calculated their VAT return and they've thought that that was it. So what they hadn't done was actually submitted it and incurred a fine. So by having it all in one place after they've calculated the VAT return, it just makes it much more easier for people to remember. And for the all important VAT audits that people get, everything is in one place, so it can help speed up the VAT audits that HMRC take place. So what makes Sage so special? Now, some of these things you may have seen in the past, but it's worth reiterating some of these key points around why Sage is a great choice for businesses. Well, we are the UK #1 accounts software provider, and this is due to the fact that we've built our products and services based on over 30 years worth of experience and working with partners, accountants and customers. And all of this is to understand what the market needs are and how Sage can actually help with those. Our award-winning customer support teams have over 700,000 business conversations with our UK accounts customers every year. All of this insight is built into our products and services. So the pain points that customers are going through is something that we can actually help with. Accountants practices are accountants are an important part to customers and actually running their business. So with more than 10,000 accountancy practices in the UK, which means over half of the practices in the UK actually pay to be members of the Accountants Club. So it makes it easier for Sage customers to find an accountant when they need one. Just another bit of an insight from a recent conversation we've had with our customers is one guy says he actually uses Sage products as a blueprint for success. So what he does is he actually goes around, buys businesses, implements Sage, and what he can do is actually make that business more profitable just by implementing Sage and implementing those time savings into running that business. So what he's doing is he's building up a whole portfolio of businesses just by implementing Sage and making them a success. So what I want to do now is go into the Sage 50 Accounts 2014 VAT Edition in a little bit more detail. So what I want to do is show you some short videos, and what we're doing is we're packaging these videos up, so these will be available shortly to you guys, where you can include in any of your presentations or any of your marketing material. But the videos are around 20-30 seconds long, and there's several of those which explains the main key benefits of what customers are going to get from Accounts 2014, the VAT edition. So what I'll do is I'll start off with VAT. So first video is around the show me how. Let's put a full screen. So what we want to do is to actually take the worry out of tax and let us show you how to manage VAT, giving you the confidence when you're trading. So with the tailored information that helps you understand and process your VAT return for the various schemes, we want to give customers confidence that what they are doing is all to do with helping them maintain compliance with the correct legislation for their scheme. Now the information that you're seeing on the screen is tailored for the VAT schemes that customers use for UK and Ireland. So once customers have started understanding VAT and how to process that, understanding the differences between tax codes, VAT schemes, the different legislation required for each, then we want to help customers onto the next step, which is the VAT return. And part of that is to actually confidently calculate VAT return and validating using the automatic VAT verifier. So what we want to do is ensure that customers are confident that the VAT return is correct and contains all the relevant sales and purchase information that's needed to send to HMRC, and validating the return just to give customers peace of mind that it has been calculated correctly. So as you can see on screen, there's some of the automatic checks that the VAT verifier does, and what it does, it searches for any anomalies that customers may have not included in their VAT return, or some guidance that customers you should consider that these should be into your VAT return. Now once it is calculated, submitting it securely to HMRC is very simple, and what it does, it allows you to do the full end-to-end process from calculating, validating and submit all in one place, and it also stores the receipt that you receive from HMRC to say that they've received that. The next part is twofold. So as mentioned before, the foreign trading functionality is going to be available in all variants in Sage 50 accounts and Sage 50 accounts plus at an additional charge. And also the foreign trading functionality can now be used on the VAT cash accounting scheme. So what we want to do is actually give customers full control of their foreign trading currency and help with their cash flow. So by allowing customers to record the trading with customers and suppliers in the correct currency, it makes it easier for customers to reconcile all their transactions in the various currencies that they trade with, but it also helps them trade with their customers by sending invoices and receiving payments in their customers' currency. So it just helps making trading abroad smoother, and it just helps customers just to be confident that they are compliant with the UK VAT legislation when it comes to trading abroad. Now that covers the improvements that we've made to VAT. There are other improvements that we've made to stock. So a lot of these stock improvements have come from business partners, accountants and customers, and what we've been told is we just need to improve the processing of stock and make it easier for customers to understand. So one of the improvements that we have made is to actually give confidence to customers that they actually have the stock available to fulfill customers' orders at the time that they're creating the invoice or order. And what I'll do is I'll just pause this video here just so you can see, because it's a very quick video. But when customers are processing sales and orders, you can see the stock levels on the product drop downs, and this is the same for invoices and orders. So what this will allow customers to do is when they're taking a sale from their customers, they can accurately inform them around delivery times, around stock availability, so they can give customers information around when they're going to be receiving their goods. Another popular wish for stock was the ability to import a stock take. Now, what we want to do was make it easier for customers to import from a CSV or an Excel spreadsheet, because that's what customers were telling us that they were using to perform a stock take. So what this will do is it will reduce the amount of time it takes when undertaking a stock take, just by importing all of your stock quantities directly from an Excel spreadsheet or a CSV file, and also allow you to do the mappings between the different fields. I'll just quickly pause that. Once you've imported the CSV or the Excel spreadsheet, let's try back and get that message box out of the way. It populates this grid. So what you can do is you can see the stock quantities that you're about to make, and also the adjustment that you're going to make based on the figures that you've imported from the Excel or CSV file. And all of this is just to make updating the stock records as quick and as simple as possible. Now, once you've done the stock take, you want to run to see how much your stock is worth. So once you've imported it, what we've done is we've improved the usability of the open and closing stock wizard. Now, what we were finding was customers didn't actually understand what this was, why they needed to do it. So what we've done is we've improved the user interface and actually added some explanation of what it is and why they need to do that. So you can see the comparison between accounts 2013 and the improvements we've made for 2014, just to show the difference between the workflow that the customer has to go through. So we've condensed the 3 wizards screens into the one screen with added explanation of what information is and what it's going to do. Now, we do know that customers regularly change the products and services that they offer to their customers. So what we wanted to do was actually make it easier for customers to confidently remove products and services that they no longer sell from their product list. And all of this is done without affecting their financial transactions. So what we can do is ensure that customers' product lists only show the items that are currently on sale. So it gives customers a clearer view of the stock lists, and it just helps improve their productivity when they're creating invoices and sales orders. So you've got a reduced list of products and services, and you can quickly populate an invoice or order. Just jump back, because that was again quite a relatively quick video. But what we've done is there's 2 ways you can do that. What you can do is you can actually remove products and services for selected items. Now, I know previously you could do that if you cleared the stock order trail up to a certain date, but what that did was remove all products and services up to that date. Now, what we've done is we've added the capabilities to remove the stock transactions for specific product items, which again is something that customers wanted, was to remove products but retain the history of the other products that they did want to keep. So moving on to the changes to charities. So in April this year, there was some new legislation brought in, which is to help customers make more out of their gift aid, and that's with the small donations. So the changes that we have made, it allows customers to store all the donor and gift aid information in one place and making it easier for customers to complete their HMRC gift aid report and actually reclaim their gift aid back. And what we can do is we can actually help customers accurately produce a submission report that can be uploaded directly to HMRC to reclaim the gift aid. And this will reduce amount of errors manually creating this report and save time in producing this report. And what it also does is it keeps an audit trail of what transactions have been submitted on a return. So what we can do is actually help customers be confident that what they are reclaiming for gift aid hasn't been claimed for in the past. One of the other areas as well is we've made some improvements to services. So what we've done is we're introducing some VAT services to actually help customers understand what VAT is and what it means to their business. The other part to that is we actually want customers to be connected with Sage, and we have done that with Sage Live Link. And what this is to do is allow customers to receive support messages and alerts to help them run their business more effectively. Now, we work closely with HMRC and keep an eye of any legislation that comes in. And what we want to do is actually proactively tell customers about these so they don't have to worry about it themselves. So what we want to do is actually let Sage add value to customers by sending messages through the software and let them know of any issues that there may be with HMRC websites or submission gateways or any changes to VAT, so we can proactively contact our customers. There are some other enhancements which have been made, and again these have been popular wish list items from customers, business partners and accountants, and this is all around making processing easier to understand. So things like journal reversals, which will be available in all variants. Improvements to the company lists, so customers can understand what they're loading, but also have the options for demo data and practice data. New project reports have been included, which have been common requests through our report design service for customers. So these are the top 5 reports that customers have requested to be made, and what we're doing is making them available in the software. The ability to change financial year will be available in all variants of the software, so just so customers can actually change the financial year without being without their data for some time. The ability to archive their data at any time, and again this is something that customers were requesting, was as their data sets were growing larger and larger, they were wanting the ability to just archive off their data at any time. And lastly, we've made some improvements to check data, and what this is more around the user interface to actually explain what an error is, what they need to do, and also just give them some hints and tips of what they need to do once they've got there, if they have any errors or warnings in their data. So the VAT edition is VAT without the OMG, and that's what we want to do. And the picture that we've got there is very cheesy, it is very corny. However, this is something that we see in our customers, we see the frustration, we hear it in the voices when they contact us. So what we want to do is take away that frustration and actually help the customers with that. So hopefully you can see what we've done in this release will actually help customers take away that pain and just make it easier and more efficient for them to understand what they're doing. And ultimately, we want to make sure that customers are freeing up time on profit-making activities, to use the phrase that the lady was telling us, and not having to spend 3 days every quarter to do their VAT.